this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. Good evening, AJ. I can see you already in the chat. Sorry for the short delay, but sometimes things don't work out as they are supposed to. Yeah, here we are. Railways are dangerous places, so please leave the real railways and train installations and all the stuff alone and just play with us in the simulator from the safety of our homes. What are we going to do now today? Well, we have done 2 out of 3 streams for the unboxing of Train Sim World 6. So what we are probably gonna do is the 3rd route with its locomotives. And this is exactly what we're going to do. First, a disclaimer: as an ambassador, I got the keys for the game for free. What I'm telling you is still my unfiltered opinion. I'm not getting paid and I'm not getting told what to say. It is the Morristown Line from Hoboken and New York Penn to Dover that we are running here, and no specific service because it's the unboxing stream. We have in this route a couple of trains, even more if all the layers are filled. My layers on my Steam installation are not filled at the moment. I am hopeful that we will be able to fill them as soon as. You know, I had to change from the Epic Games Store to Steam because of the problem that many DLCs don't carry over on the Epic Games Store at the moment. Good news is that Dover.l Games is working or are working on that, so that actually all DLCs will be available on the Epic Games Store version of the game eventually. So what we have is what we get with this route if you don't have anything else installed here. You get the ALP-46. What is a locomotive that we know already from the New York Trenton DLC, and we get the Arrow 3 train, what is a quite old-fashioned train, super long for our standards in Europe, and fun to drive. I gave both of those vehicles just 1 shot so far, and the deluxe locomotive I have not touched. It's the ALP-46 dual power that can change over from diesel to electric and electric to diesel. What is cool? Well, I played it in the introduction, but this is all actually. Let's see what we can do. Obviously I have to find out what service it is and then run it in clear daylight. I think it was New York Penn to Dover 6627. Let's see if we can find this in the timetable mode. No? 6627? No way? Ah. 6627. This one, and no dynamic weather, custom weather, clear weather in September. Let's go. Here we are at New York Penn in the underground part of the station, obviously. And we're getting our loco to work. Let's get started. Reverse, the thing is already in. Can put it forward. and unlock the doors. Typically a guard would probably do that for us. Safety systems can be cut in here. Alerter, ATC and access. We have this display unit that is giving us, if you have a restricting aspect, always the red one over nothing. I always thought we should get red over Luna or red over a yellow to show us that it is a restricting aspect. But well, who am I? Let's see if we have lights. We have lights. We need probably ditch lights. Pantograph is up. Reverser is set. The brakes are still on. Can release them. Can see how the equalizing reservoir fills with the white hand. We can see how the brake pipe fills with the white hand. You can see that the brake cylinders are still on. They are releasing a bit now, up until the point where the fully applied independent brake kicks in. Gauge lights, I want to have them alright, and then let's try if we can get the train moving. Based on the German 101 locomotive. The ALP-46 is, to my knowledge, only used by NJ Transit. Nowhere else. Slow clear. And we're going straight into the tunnel that connects New Jersey with New York, Manhattan, East River Tunnel. First downhill run and then an uphill run, obviously. Let's see if the dynamic brakes on the trains can hold our train on the way down. Now the axis already switched to 100. That is actually a bit much, probably. And it is still running downwards. I think we can go 60 in the tunnel. 60, yeah. But first we have to pass the whole contraption with our whole train. And HG says it looks like the setting of an indie horror game. Let's hope that we are not running into any zombies or starfishes. And let's check out this route. I've never driven it for its whole length. So it will be interesting. Now the speed display changed all of a sudden to 60, what was to be expected. Does that mean we are out now? Yeah. Maybe you can use this as an indicator for when the train has completely left the station area. If the aspect display unit switches from 100 to 60, then you can actually rely on it and go the 60. And we have to pick up a lot of momentum to get up on the other side. Tapoli, yeah, oh my god, and hey, hey to you as well. So now we are deep under the East River. Let me check what the speed restrictions are. It gives us a line of 60. When we're getting out of the tunnel, we typically get something like a cap speed signal, a flashing green that bumps around a lot. I've never fully understood the signaling, especially the cap signaling in this spot, but we will see. If Axis actually jumps in your face, you get really a mean alarm. And with the manually lapping brakes on this locomotive, this can easily end up in some sort of a catastrophe. We have to stop at Secaucus. Secaucus is this interesting station, you can see it here. It has an upper level and a lower level, and we are going on the upper level, whereas on the lower level the main line crosses over, so the northeast corridor. If I'm talking about the main line, then I'm talking about the northeast corridor, obviously. So here we could get a 75 from 90 when we are out of the tunnel. Oh, this is probably not so relevant for us, since we have to stop at Secaucus anyway. Let's first get out of the tunnel in one piece. Increase to 75 miles. Before we can make use of it, the train has to run its full length. And now we're getting a cap speed signal, preparing for the cap speed signal that is at the next signal gantry, limiting us to 60. Probably in preparation for the stop. Approach medium, we will get we have to slow down to 45. You see how the ATC kicks in, wants us to put our brakes in suppression, what is typically reached as soon as you get a reduction of 15 in your brake pipe, of 15 pounds from 110 to 95. That is typically enough. Now we go back to cap speed 60, and now we're getting the next approach limited 45. So this ping pong of cap signals, I have never really understood that. Why we're getting the upgrade to cap speed 60. If they brought us down to approach limited 45. I know. We have to stop at Secaucus. We can more or less slow down to 45 and stay with it.
The next station stop is Secaucus. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
Set the brake handle into lap. Now we are at the medium clear. And then maybe at 1200 feet apply something between a 10 pound and a 15 pound reduction, and then let's see where it gets you. We are stopping short, and there is actually not much that we can do except for releasing the brakes and stopping from the slow speed again. Getting started with a cap speed, signal the flashing green.
This station stop
Here we are.
Secaucus.
So let's see if we can get in photo mode, because Secaucus is such a nice station, or whether photo mode will break it completely. Last thing is, as I said, that there is a lower part, not the street. I'm not talking about the road traffic, but here where the northeast corridor is passing through, as we have seen on the map. And since we are at the moment on the Amtrak controlled and probably owned piece of the track, we are getting those colorized position lights that Amtrak is using on this part, together with a C indicator for Rule 280A. We have a video about this, about the C indicator. We have a video about the colorized position light signals, if you're interested, on the YouTube channel. Close the doors. Release the train brakes until the brake pipe is back to 110 pounds per square inch. Power. As soon as you can see the power coming up, release the independent brake so that we don't have the train rolling backwards. Let's see what the speed profile looks like. It's still 45 here, and then 70, 60, quite volatile, so there is no point in going all those bumps. Newark Broad Street is what we are aiming for. Cap signal holds us at cap speed 45. So in the ADU part we have a flashing green, that is the cap speed, and the speed indicator allows us 45. What is probably the speed coming from axis. It's actually a quite interesting way. Now we've got this increase to whatever it is, 70, 90, but you can see the train is so long that it does not really make a lot of sense to accelerate. If we are out of the 45, then we will probably be able to go to the 60, but that's it for us. Like on many American routes, super interesting how the signaling and the cap signaling play together to enforce sometimes the track limits. So now we can aim for the 60 here. This is actually what the cap speed is doing with us. Track limits might be higher, but the signaling envelops it in a way so that we can stay safely below the 60. you want to learn more about the types of the signals, not so much the aspects, but the specific types and how the signals more or less support the civil speeds, the track speeds. There's a great video by Brandon Cactus Juice who programmed those signals here and typically does the programming for the American signals for DTG. So, is there any reason to go faster? Yeah, probably we can aim for the 80 here even until we have to slow down to 50. Not for very long, no, but for the ramp. So if you think, well, I know this part already from... Look at this arrow to the right. This is telling us that we're going to the right. And straight ahead would have been what we already know from New York Trenton. Let's see where exactly the limit is, at the bottom of the ramp, right? So let's see if we can slow down in advance. For the 50. So that we don't get jumped by axes or aces. What I think I know, I still have to confirm this though. Here is a dead section called a phase gap here. Almost like in the London Underground. So are we already through the 50 or is the 50... No, we're actually through. But you can see we have to prepare for a 35 here. So there's no point in accelerating a lot. 55 and 35. So no point in accelerating hard here. So, but before we actually go on here, I wanted to quickly cut in a presentation with a map so that we all know where we are running along. And, you know, I love maps and I always want to know where we actually are. Presentation is coming in. And look at it, this is the New York area where we are running around. If you want to have a map of the United States, in case you don't know where New York is, this is where New York is, in the more or less northeastern part of the United States. And yeah, a big area, and if you look at it on the whole map, it is such a little thing only. We have many DLCs and routes in Transcend World already. This is the Long Island Railroad in its original length, and this is the Harlem Line, New York White Plains, and this is what I've been talking about, New York Trenton, and here in New York Penn Station. This is where we're going through Secaucus and then towards Newark, and where the junction is, where the Morristown Line is going to the northwest at this point. Long Island Railroad got the extension to Long Beach actually, and there was this route that had not made the cut to Transcend World 2, so the only route that had been abandoned so far, the Newark, New Rochelle route here. And it will come back in future DLC, the new route to Stamford, Newark Stamford. Except for this little freight branch here. We will be getting it back soon. At the moment it is lost. And this is the route that we are on. You can see how it shares this part of the track, and this is more or less the part of the track that we went on already. In here we branched to the right, and now we're going all that bit along. And yeah, the New York Trenton line runs further to the southwest towards Washington, more or less. And this part is also in the route to Hoboken. Morristown Line, New York, Hoboken, New York, Hoboken to Dover. We have Newark signaling ACES PTC over CSS ATC on this part, and on the Amtrak owned part it is ACCESS, not ACES. And those are the locomotives that we have. The Arrow 3 that we will maybe play later this evening, and the ALP-46 that we are driving at the moment, and the deluxe loco is the ALP-45 DP. What has dual power, the Bombardier built loco like the ALP-46 as well. Good, that was the presentation. I'm always happy to make clear where we are running about, not just following the trails and the switches that the dispatcher has for us, but actually knowing where we are is always helpful. So let's see what the signals are doing for us. You will recognize, as Brendan said in his video, that on the NJ Transit owned part we are not getting flashing greens for cap speed, but even if the speed is not so super high, we get high greens. But this does not change the fact that the speed is actually sometimes not higher than 60 or 80. You can see how the axis is bringing down the speed to 55 at this point. And later on, when we're going into this Roosevelt Trench, see, now they are bringing us down to the 35, giving us the approach limited even a bit earlier. Could also see how the penalty brake kicked in and slowed us down, released again after we had slowed down enough. It's always tempting to release the suppression before you are underneath the target speed, like with 2 or 3 clicks above. Here is actually a medium. That was the mean axis alarm. Yeah, it was, even though we have an approach limited aspect on the ADU, this was a full-blown medium clear without flashing, limiting us to 30. And actually the axis is limiting us to 30 here. Before we get to the trench, we still have to get across the bridge.
The next station stop is Newark Broad Street. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
They're holding us at a medium speed with what equals to 30.
station stop is Newark Broad Street.
Stop times are really short. And now we're getting out of the 30 limit, getting back a 55 limit, and then we have to slow down to 40. I think it is. No, it's 35 even. 35 even for the trench, so no point in getting a lot faster than that. For the 35 we actually have signs hanging over the tracks. If we get a lot of stuttering, it might be the shaders getting calculated. Approach limited, that will limit us to 45 to prepare us for the limit in 35. See, at the moment the cab signaling slows us down to 45. This thing here indicates this is the speed that we are allowed to go, and the rest that you can see is the warning speed that is left before there will be an intervention. Now you can see probably, no, not at the moment, where it is coming down. We're getting another signal, approach limited, again 45. Ah, this is the branch here, and it is exactly here where the branch is. This is where we are limited to 35. So it's a different part where we have the signs on top of the rails. It's a different NJ transit line that is coming in here from the right. Now we're getting a high green again on the signals. Access already increased the speed, but we still have to run our train's length before we can stop at Brick Church. We can try to go back to the line speed of 60. Counter is already running down, but it is given in feet. For stopping from a speed of 60, we need about 2,000 feet. That should be enough, probably. We could do with a bit less. Let's check if we're getting any more restrictions. No, Orange Mountain. But we can prepare the brake to lap.
The next station stop is Brick Church. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
To approximately 95 pounds. At 50 we should be like 1200 feet, 40. Well, always looks like it is much too fast. But we're losing a lot of speed at the end. Might actually be... Okay.
This station stop is Brick Church.
Brake system works like release, then you drain the pressure from the brake cylinders with hold. Yeah, well, can't explain it now, have to start the train. Since I'm not so super late, I have to try to stay on the timetable. Here you can see attractive effort for the two bogies. Release fills the brake pipe, drains the cylinder. If you put it to service, it drains the brake pipe and fills the cylinders. If you put it to lap, it freezes the state in the pipe and in the cylinders. With hold, it holds the air in the cylinders, but refills the brake pipe, and with release, it releases the pressure in the cylinders again. That's about it. Now we have to stop soon again. We cannot get, probably can't get to a line speed of 60.
The next station stop is Orange. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
For 45, we start braking at about 1200 feet, I should say. And then make our 15 pounds reduction. And if we're stopping short, then we have to do what we would probably not do in real life. Release and brake from a very slow speed again.
This station stop is Orange.
South Orange. We have still a 60 limit. Let's see if we can get the train to the 60 at least before we have to slow down again for South Orange. If you're looking for the signal for our line, they are at the site, at the mast itself, not at the gantry. We're at the mast. Sometimes hard to see. Downhill, need a bit of the dynamic brake so that we don't overspeed. Still high greens. For 60 we want to start braking at about 2000 feet to 1800 feet. So prepare the brakes, put the lever into lap, so that with one notch we can actually slow down.
The next station stop is South Orange. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
Braking curve for the stop is about the braking curve for the speed reduction here. Can already see that this is too much. So we have to release in between a bit. With more practice you can probably just know at what point to stop, so that in the end you travel to the place where you want to be.
South Orange.
See how everything is moving? The tin roof and the locomotive. People are being cold here. Yeah, it's can easily see how fast it is getting more rural here. Leaving the big city behind us. Maplewood. Line speed already increased to 60. For Maplewood I think there is another little dent to 55, but this is only relevant if we're not stopping there.
The next station stop is Maplewood. When leaving the train, please watch the gap. This station stop is Maplewood.
So, now I thought I am too fast because I had some trouble with my keyboard shorts. And what is the end? We stopped short. Fact is, our train is too long for most of the stations here anyway. Even if we stop perfectly, not all the cars fit. Milburn. See, here's this little dent to 55. For Milburn, we will probably have to slow down to 45 again. This calls for an approach limited signal. The friendly penalty brake, even if it kicks in, it does not slow you down too much. So on this loco, if the engine stalls, do we need to stop completely to restart it? The good thing is that it won't stall here. What has to do something with the fact that this is an electro loco, so we are getting our juice from the overhead catenary, so there is nothing that can stall.
Milburn. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
The other one, the ALP-45, can run on diesel. And then it can stall, obviously. But not so this one.
This station stop is Milburn.
So again, with service, we can see how the equalizing reservoir and the brake pipe are getting lower, the white hands, and the brake cylinders would fill if they weren't already full. With lap, we stop that motion, and with hold you can see the white hands going back to 110, first the equalizing reservoir, following suit the brake pipe, and still the brake cylinders stay at the pressure that they were on. And then with release, the red hand on the right gauge, the brake cylinder pressure drops to the maximum pressure that we can accomplish with the independent brake. And we draw a bit of power, and then we can release the independent brake hill start wise so that the train does not roll backwards. Hello, hello, Theodoros, so nice to see you. It is an American content stream, and it is a bit slow on the chat. AJ and me on our own, more or less. Short hills, that means we're running uphill a lot. Here you can see whoop until we get to summit, and short hills is somewhere in between. We have a 60 and then later a 50 limit. And stopping at short hill from the 60 limit, most probably. So we should get an increase soon to 60. The moment is still showing us a 50 limit. Is that so? Well, actually, oh yeah, it's a 50 limit. What am I telling you? We're still in the 50 limit. Yasu said, are you still using one screen and your phone? Yes! I actually tried to reactivate my old tablet for that. It actually charged, it actually started. And after a couple of hours I even remembered my old password. But then it cannot run the Twitch app. So I'm back on my phone. Actually, it is a better setup, the game runs more smoothly.
The next station stop is Short Hills. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
But I would like to have a bigger screen to read the chat. What's also nice to see on this locomotive is the brake blending. When you apply the brake, first the train applies the air brakes, and then after a while the dynamic brakes kick in and the air brake is released. And Theodorus asked me whether I let the AI run. No, I did not. I actually did half a run myself, and then it was already time to start the stream, to be honest. Due to lack of time, I did not let the AI run. So, this is quite a hill start here. You can see how the wheel slip protection system is kicking in. And if the traction values on both bogies are jumping around like this, that means that we are actually having trouble getting the traction on the rail. It's even harder with wet rail or icy rails. So, don't know if it is allowed, but sanding does something for you when starting the train here in the gradient. So, will we still be limited to 50? Yes, all the time until we get to Summit, then we are limited to 45. Oh, we don't even have tail lights. Have to remember that. I thought on the modern setups it goes without saying that we have taillights on, but for the next run, let's check back to the rear cab to turn on the taillights. And Theodoro says, Baureihe 101, miracle version, yeah. It's actually funny that the 101 survived in the form of this locomotive. About 20 years longer so far than its counterpart. That was an advanced approach. Gets translated as almost everything to approach limited in the cab signaling system. Limits us to 45. Next signal will most probably be not an approach, but an approach slow. Yellow over yellow. Limiting us to 30 then. And then we get a slow approach when entering Summit Station. Can let the gradient bring us down a bit. Here's the approach slow, yellow over yellow. You might remember that approach slow has two variants. Either yellow over red over green on a three-headed signal, or yellow over yellow on a two-headed signal. Both means the same. We have to approach the next signal with slow speed. Slow speed being 15. Will translate to restricted on the cab. It's still a bit until we get there, so let's not be too slow. Otherwise we will lose too much time. It's quite a way until we get to the signal.
The next station stop is Summit. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
Here is the slow approach, red over flashing yellow. In the Newark system, red over steady yellow would be restricting. But with flashing it is a slow approach, slow speed, and be prepared that the next signal is red. And again, since we are in a slow or restrictive aspect, the ADU gives us a red. I think it should give us a red over yellow or red over lunar instead. Because what should we do with a red ADU aspect? Stop, not go. But maybe I'm wrong. You never know.
This station stop is Summit.
Alright, let's turn on. Yeah, this does not help us a lot. Here, where are our tail lights? Marker lights. I think this is what we want. High green. And Theodora says, yeah, give your old junk to third world countries, they can make it last another 40 years. Like with the British 86s. That does not even need to be third world countries, right? At 86s in Bulgaria. Having a great life. It's 45 until we're out. Even though we got a high green, and even though it is giving us a 50 here, line speed is 45. Yeah, but those locomotives were actually purposely built for NJ Transit by Bombardier. Going down, and we're going to Chatham. We can visit Dover.l games. Well, obviously a different Chatham. Yeah, I mean, places with less regulations, says Theodoros. Maybe places with less busy lobbyists that always want to sell the latest shit. Yeah, that too. It says. So what is it? It will increase to 55 before we stop at Chatham. We can live with this, I guess. Train has to run its length. 1, 2, 3, and 4 telegraph masts, and then we should normally be in the clear. Can let the train roll to 55. Oh, there's a temporary speed restriction to 60 coming in. Or was it not a temporary one? Well, a temporary speed restriction to 60 in a line speed 55 area does not make that much sense, does it? Actually don't know if there are temporary speed restrictions in the American line. I can't remember having seen one, to be honest. And we're at 55 as we have been. Yeah, AJ does not really make a lot of sense. Well, I really like the American routes. Especially the one here in Northeast Corridor. And especially the one in California, and especially the one everywhere, the ones everywhere else, to be honest. But then on the other hand, it is hard to say that I don't like routes from any country. And this might actually be because it is hard to find a place on Earth that is not special in some positive way.
The next station stop is Chatham. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
So, in case you want to confuse it with Chatham in Kent, this station name is pronounced Chatham. Oh, here is actually the temporary speed restriction, S. And R. They actually put a speed restriction for 60 in a part of track with a line speed of 55.
This station stop is Chatham.
For the length of the station. Madison. So we're actually a bit late since I turned on the marker lights at the driving trailer. But now we have marker lights at the driving trailer. Are we still in the 55 limit here? Yes, but then now we can go out and go back to 60 line speed. Madison. So why? Oh, it actually increased to 70 for Madison. Nice to know. But that means we have to brake a bit earlier. Maybe at about 2.5.
The next station stop is Madison. When leaving the train, please watch the gap. This station stop is Madison.
Theodore says Amtrak finally using new Axela fleet. Yeah, we have seen a lot of pictures in the Ambassador's Discourse. The new DGVM family, I think. And it looks beautiful, actually. Must be an interesting train to drive. Have you got chance to board the new TGV in EU? I think I have never ever boarded a TGV so far. So far, all my high-speed experience is limited to the ICE and the Javelin. Convent is the next one. Again, uphill. There is a 50 dots in it, and well, let's see how that works out. Ah, okay, so there it is. They look nice by my taste, he says. Axis is already slowing us down for the 50. For the 50 brake. So let's see where we get a 50 brake here. Probably for this curve. And then it increases again, 50 and to 60 and 70. But first the train has to run its length, obviously. So, if we want to make up for some time, we have to go for the 70 before we brake again. And Convent is up the hill.
The next station stop is Convent. When leaving the train, please watch the gap. This station
Okay.
stop is
That stop is short here. There must be quite an incline still. Yeah. And then we're going to Morristown. Namesake for the line. Again, you can see the driving motor struggling to get the train across the grade. Yeah, earlier today I got as far as Morristown, and then I thought, oh, it's the Morristown line, so it will be the last station, but it is not. Profile 70, 60, 50. Axis is slowing us down for the 60. Soon enough it will probably slow us down for the 50, yeah, but still a bit to go. Yeah, and Theodore says he never thought that a regional train can be that heavy. But they are in the United States. Even regional trains make only sense if they are really heavy and can move a lot of people. This deep sound.
Stop is Morristown. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
As always for to show us that no axis is counting down. Morristown. That's a nice entry, isn't it?
This station stop is Morristown.
So how heavy are we actually? We are 701 ton. It's almost a freight train for European standards. So, Morris Plains we're approaching. I know the FRA insists on using steel cars, but for Bauer 101 similar level of power to struggle on a hill start. Line speed increased to 60. At the moment we're still in the 50 because the train is in it, but then it will go to 60, I think. Will we get a dedicated limit before we get there? No. We just stop at Morris Plains. 700 tons is almost the fast high Bremshundertstel shipping containers train in Germany, I guess. True. You can run them fully in P brake settings up to 800 tons. Consist. So manifest trains sometimes, especially the shorter ones, can get to that. Morris Plains from 60.
The next station stop is Morris Plains. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
Watch the gap. And watch the lap in the brake. This will probably get us down too fast. I applied a bit more than I usually do, and already we are stopping shortish.
This station stop is Morris Plains.
Oh, and finally we got the Ro-Ro truck trailer cars that came with the expert version of... What? Bauer 145, I mean. Yeah, slightly rolling backwards. See, this is why the train is stopping short here. This is what you should not do, otherwise you get the penalty brake when rolling backwards. So, let's build some power. Independent brake to half. Independent brake slowly out. And no rolling backwards here. Oh yeah, that one, I forgot. Yeah, the truck trailer, the flatbed cars where you can put the whole truck in it. Denville. Oh, this is actually now quite a bit to go. It's 60, 50, 60, 40. So there is actually some dynamic in the profile. Yeah, the Baureihe 145 is more or less the sister line to the Baureihe 101. And because the 145 led to the Trax locomotives, the development line of the 101 more or less subsided in Germany. Except for this ALP-46 and its sister locomotives. This is the access alarm. Isn't that one annoying? And only for this little bit of 50. So let's try to not run into this again, because there is a 40 limit. Now let's see if we can mimic the brake curve. That went better. What that sounds like gunfire from a space-themed shooting game. Yes. And from what I've experienced on the Arrow 3, it sometimes gets bugged, and then even when the situation is over, the alarm stays on. Like sometimes the horn gets stuck, you can hear the alarm can get stuck, and then, well, you can take it with you for the rest of your game. So I'm not entirely sure whether we have to honk for those level crossings, because I have not seen any whistle boards. So maybe this goes without saying that we have to whistle and honk for them, or not. Have to inquire still. So back to 50. Let's see if in Denville, yeah, Denville is even slower. 30. But well, we have to stop there anyway. Maybe we get an approach or whatever. Sorry, we're not stopping. Hey. Now we actually got a penalty break too. No. It was releasable. It was releasable after all.
The next station stop is Denville. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
So this is one of the situations where you get the cap aspect earlier. And you got a 30 cap aspect. While I was looking at the people and making fun of them, because we weren't stopping. And there was this sound again. But it was not the fire from Space Marines sound that Axis has, but it was the ATC sound. Interesting, here's a level crossing mid-platform.
This station stop is Denville.
Starting us with a limited clear. We're going to Dover, and this is finally end of the line, Dover. 3.9 miles. We are now in the area where everything so is our train so much longer than the other one? No, we just stopped with a different spacing. So even though we got a limited clear on the signal, the cab signal is still holding us to 30. Increase to the 45 as soon as we are out of the 30 with our train. Well, we are probably now. Yes, we are. 60, 50, 55. 25 for Dover. Let's see if the 45 is in... No, it's not. It was just the signal that kept us to 45. And now we got a high green again. How long is it until we get to the 50? Not very long. Wait for the deeper sound, this deep sound, by the axis or axis, and then see the ribbon of light shrink on the SDU, the speed display unit. So, line speed should increase to 55 soonish. Again. Flag on every car, has gotta love their enthusiasm. Well, I definitely love their enthusiasm. This is definitely not one of the less agreeable things that are happening in the United States. 55. So 55, and let's see how soon we have to slow down to the 25. That will probably give us some kind of signal to enforce that slowdown. At the moment we are still running on high greens. Yep. And we're actually in a part of the track that I have not run on before, so the shader stutters are inevitable. Approach limited, that means you have to slow down to 45. Well, yeah, to be fair, European use numbering codes of origin country, but yeah. Well, I don't mind. They can put their flag on their cars and, well...
The next station stop is Dover. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
So why the current speed display was still red even though we had not gotten our restricting aspect is a bit... And why it is still red now even though we are below the 20 for the restricting aspect. Enforcing heaven. There was too much brakes. I did not want to brake here. I want to enter the station actually. I just wanted to prepare the brakes. People think I stopped the train outside the station because there is so much time left on the clock and I did not want to be early. But this is not the reason. I just messed up my brakes. But it can't hurt. To wait a bit with a stop. Because even in Transit World 6 we'll still get punished for arriving early.
This station stop is Dover.
Do we still have to go anywhere? No. We still have to wait and then unload passengers. Well, that leaves us actually with the opportunity to explore Dover a bit. Unload passengers, wait until 14:17. See, the radar says wunderbar. Now you're here. I'm sorry, probably I started again too early for your working hours. It's the end of this leg, but I will probably be back later in a couple of hours to run the Arrow 3 and maybe the ALP-45. No, that's okay, sis. Don't look at me. Well, maybe I will be back anyways to bring you the missing American content. And Theodora says, oh, just remember the ICE-4, one of them got the German flag for the entire train length, replacing the typical red line. Yeah, I remember that one. Replacing the red one, replacing the green one for the Deutschlands schnellster Klimaschützer, or replacing the pride colored one. Nah, I think that looks great. The American flag. They also had it on the SD40-2s. CD Radar says, you might be surprised, but I'm not very interested in American content. I would never have thought. Well, I am, definitely. Oh, I thought you can look through this building, but you can't. Well, they modeled a nice city here, didn't they? With a lot of depth. Can almost get your American truck simulator and run around. Here, for example. Or the construction simulator. So what happens now at 14:17? See, today I was at the celebration of 150 years of public transport in Prague. At the open doors day at the metro depot last week, there was a parade of historic trams and other celebratory events. Oh, that is cool. So this coincides with the 200 years of railway in Great Britain. I would have enjoyed that in Prague with the historic trams. It's more than time for me to travel to the Czech Republic again. Aha. We have to go on, actually. Getting a restricted signal here. No rolling back. Train, no rolling back. No rolling backwards. Come on. Get your traction on the rail. So we're actually, or probably going into the section here where we can turn around. Special instruction 1005-6 applies. Wherever this might be. We're going across the switch. and across another level crossing. It was actually a parade of all types of trains, the City Radar. From the oldest horse-drawn ones to the newest ones that will go into operation later this year. That sounds really interesting. We should have gone to Prague instead of releasing trains in World 6. No. Should have done both. Release and go to Prague. So where actually are we going? And how far can we go here? 25 still. Okay. And we still have this red bubble. It does not vanish anymore. And that's it. We're supposed to park the train somewhere where nobody can see it anymore. How long did it take? 1 hour 34. Okay, that was about what they said in the description for the service. Well, now you have missed every transport related event. That is true. I have missed the Tag der Schiene, and I have missed the transport event in Prague. At least I will have a contribution to the Railway 200 event that Dover.l is doing, and it will run on Sunday. What is it? The 28th is Sunday? Yes, tomorrow at 1800 British Summer Time. That is 1900 Central European Time. 1700 UTC probably. So if you want, you can see me fiddle around with the Dresden DLC again, and some HL signals are explained. So again, maybe I will be back later in a couple of hours with the Aero 3 and the ALP-45 dual power, where we can do switching between electric trains and diesel-powered locomotives. For now, I will be off a bit. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Take care, have the greatest of times, and see you soon. See you then, says CD Radar. See you soon. Bye-bye.